the minister, for the moderator, and welcome him.
Thank you, members of Synod. I sense there's a real buzz in the room. Anyone want to sing? No. But welcome, and I hope that you've all managed to be replenished and refreshed by the morning tea or the lunch that we've had as we begin our Synod meeting. But before we do anything, since we weren't able to have our welcome as such at the opening service, we are fortunate enough that we are able to, I just want to invite Age Greenwood, who's a Synod member, and a Warramai man who has permission to acknowledge country and perform ceremony on Wurundjeri country on which we gather. And so he's going to come and bring us an acknowledgement and welcome.
If you'd like to grab a leaf that's on your table, give it a little scrunch, a little sniff. Kaba malmanyo, bladu malman. Marabik waramai. Wurundjeri Ginan, Wurundjeri Gungan, Wurundjeri Bek. Wanadakwa. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Wurundjeri Wurrung country. The language you just heard is the Wurrung language. It's the language of the leaf that's in your hand. It's the language to our north of the Yarra River, to the south, Gardner Creek, and the song lines that follow them. Today I want to acknowledge the other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today, and everyone to remember where they're from, their rivers, their mountains, their country. And we acknowledge the elders, past and present, of the Wurundjeri for this place. Thanks. Honourable.
Thank you, Age. Welcome to visitors joining us either in person or online via the live stream. Welcome to the President, Reverend Carissa Suri, and the National Assembly. And I'm sure you were all familiar with her, but could you please, President, you raise your hand if you're... There you are. Thank you. And also Andrew Johnson, the General Secretary. Welcome also to Reverend Tara Tautari. She's here. There she is. Welcome. Who's the General Secretary of the Methodist Church of New Zealand, who will join us for the entire meeting and will share a theological reflection with us at the end of each day. Welcome Reverend Janet Staines, up the back there, General Secretary of the Northern Synod, who is being proposed as an associated member for the entire meeting. Welcome to Reverend Vaimata Hiriau, Moderator of New South Wales and ACT, there at the back there. And also Reverend Bruce Moore, Moderator of the Synod of Queensland, who are joining us as visitors today. I just want to remind us that our meeting is a safe space. A statement of meeting in a safe place and space is on our app, and I encourage you to read and take this to heart. I'd like to introduce Reverend Carol Bennett, and I'd invite her to stand, who is coordinating the meeting chaplains and safe meeting contacts during the Synod. Carol is here to be your first contact point if you're wanting to chat to a chaplain or safe meeting contact. And her number is available under the Key People tab on the website and app. Our meeting chaplains, the Reverend Beth Bear, and please stand. Reverend Joy Blamiers, Reverend Gospel Roto, and the safe meeting contacts are Reverend Demokrisia Viola Luanga and Reverend Fran Barber. Their direct numbers also are available under the Key People tab. So I'm going to invite the General Secretary.
Thank you, Moderator. This is just to announce that the Synod membership roll will be confirmed at 3:30 on Sunday. That's 3:30 tomorrow. And I remind all members to advise any changes to the Synod member roll to the Associate General Secretary, Sharon Hollis, as soon as possible, and hopefully by lunchtime tomorrow, so we can arrange everything for confirmation at 3:30. Thank you.
I invite Catherine Alessandro, Synod Meeting Project Manager, who will bring some important housekeeping announcements.
Thank you, Moderator. I'm Catherine D'Alessandro, and I live and work on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. As well as my role as Manager Administration and Secretariat Governance in Synod Ministries and Operations, I'm also privileged to be the Synod Meeting Project Manager. And it's so wonderful to see you all here at the 2025 Synod meeting. I've got a few housekeeping items to share with you so that we can all enjoy a safe time together. Hopefully you've all taken the time to read the 2025 Synod Meeting Emergency and Evacuation Place document, which is available in the resources section of the website and the app. And if you haven't, I please encourage you to do so in the next break. We're coming out of winter. Well, we're still in winter. It felt like this morning, waving traffic in, that's for sure. It was freezing. So just a reminder that many illnesses are still around. So please remember to use good hygiene practices during the meeting, and members are welcome to wear masks if they'd like. If you feel unwell at any stage during the meeting, we ask that you please don't attend and let the organising team know. If you become unwell whilst the meeting's actually happening, please come and see us at the business office. The business office is, when you go out of the hall, you turn left and then another left. We're between the White Horse Room out to the side here and the main thoroughfare there. Let us know there's a first aid station also in the main foyer just out to the left. So please let us know in the business office. We'll take you to the first aid station. Find anyone in an orange jacket, anybody that's a Box Hill Town Hall staff member, please just go and find them and they'll assist. All the Box Hill Town Hall staff are first aid qualified and will all be able to assist you. There's a lift located in the main foyer which takes you to the ground floor level, the underground level, basically lower level, and to the first floor. So you can get everywhere in the building without needing to use the stairs. The lift is just out to the right of the doors at that side. Toilets are located either side of the main foyer, outside these doors, and on each floor of the building. So under the maps section of the website and app, you'll see that the toilets and lifts and stairs are marked on all of those maps for you to find them when you need them. So your safety whilst we're at the Box Hill Town Hall is of utmost importance to us, and in the event of an emergency situation where an evacuation is necessary, I just want to go through a few quick guidelines. There's a combination of smoke and thermal detectors fitted in zones throughout the building. If any of these detectors are activated, a signal is transmitted to the fire panel and in turn to the fire brigade, who will respond. The emergency alarm will be activated throughout the building via speakers in all areas. The first alarm is a beep beep and signals the need to prepare for an evacuation. At this point, you should take note of where the emergency exit doors are. It will then progress to a whoop whoop with please evacuate the building in an orderly manner. Take your valuables with you. Don't use the lift. If you need assistance, please find one of us in the orange jackets or a town hall staff and we will assist you. Evacuate to the nearest assembly area, which is mostly out the front at the grass area. One last thing is we're all quite cosy in this room, so please take care as you walk around with chair legs and things that fall on the floor, so any trip hazards, just take your time and watch where you're going. For this Synod meeting, we have the two microphones for people on the floor to speak at on the sides. So I do ask that you please keep the sides clear so that there's a clear path for people to make their way to the microphones whenever they need to. That includes, please don't plug in any devices on the floor and leave them there. We have some tables at the rear of the room on that side where you can plug in your devices to power boards there. Otherwise, people might end up stepping on it. Finally, if you need anything else during the meeting, please either find one of us wearing these orange vests or come and see us in the business office. But we hope you all have a wonderful meeting. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce Bethany Broadstock, who will present a theological orientation to our meeting together over the next 4 days. Bethany is the National Manager of Media and Communications for the Uniting Church Assembly. She is also a pastor in the Banyul network of Uniting Churches, where she works across the network's congregations and Fresh Expressions communities.
Thank you, Moderator and members of Synod. My name is Bethany Broadstock, Presbytery of Yarra Yarra, and it's a joy to offer this theological orientation. At the beginning of this time, before we move into the work that is ours to do over the next 4 days, we pause to remember who we are and whose we are. When we gather as a synod, before we are a decision-making body or anything else, we are the church. And in fact, we create here a Christian community that has never existed before. Here in this time and place, we are called together, drawn by the Spirit and entrusted with the work of discernment before us. We are not here to exchange ideas simply or to advance our own interests. We are here to encounter the Spirit and each other so that together we may discern the wisdom and the will of God for our church in this time and place. There are perhaps two things which might help us begin speaking about the spirituality that we embody and what we confess when we meet. The first of these is from the Basis of Union, paragraph 15, which is significantly not the paragraph about Jesus, but the one about government in the church. As we begin to speak about government in the church, we say this: the Uniting Church acknowledges that Christ alone is supreme in Christ's church and that Christ may speak to her through any of her councils. And the second is from the Uniting Church Manual for Meetings. In fact, the very first statement and claim of the Manual for Meetings, that when a council of the church makes decisions, it is aiming to discern the guidance of the Spirit in response to the word of God. Now, the Manual for Meetings goes on to say many other things about the processes and the structures that enable this discernment. But we must understand, as we prepare now to turn to our own discernment in the coming days, this is the heart of why we gather and what we are doing when we gather. The patterns of meeting to which we have committed as the Uniting Church, which are the rhythms of prayer, worship, discernment, and word, are about pointing us in the direction of the Holy Spirit, who is our guide, and of Jesus, who is the head of the church. And as government in the Uniting Church belongs to the people of God, here we are to play our part, ready to hear from the one who speaks through the gathered body. Now, the claim that the councils of the Uniting Church gather to discern the guidance of the Spirit is perhaps so often repeated that it can lose its power to compel. And if this is the case today, let us remember the Spirit we are discerning. For this is not a spirit with no content. This Spirit is the transforming, life-giving Spirit of the crucified and risen Jesus, which is given to us and to the church as a gift, in order that we may not lose the way. This is the Holy Spirit that is promised to the early church, and which lights the flame of their witness in their new life on the other side of death. This is the Spirit which becomes known to a tiny community in a fragile world as it huddles in an upper room, alone and afraid, unsure of how to go on without the presence of Jesus. This is the Holy Spirit, which causes faith to arise, which is the fuel and the mover of our mission, the Spirit which gives us words to say and inspires our actions. This is the same Spirit which draws the most unlikely people into an encounter with the risen Jesus. And in the way that we here have committed to meet together, we pursue the same Spirit, which alone can inspire our life and animate our movement into God's world. As we meet, we are seeking the guidance of the Spirit which empowers and challenges and restrains us. As we discern, we are seeking the guidance of the Spirit, which is the peace of God resting on and between us. We are discerning the voice of the one in whose hands are held our lives and our church. And as the Uniting Church, we confess that in order to discern this Spirit, we actually need each other. And we choose to meet in a particular, very strange way, where this spirituality of attentiveness to the Spirit and to each other shapes how we listen and speak and decide. The Reverend Dr. Darcy Wood, who was the Uniting Church's 6th president, said that the Uniting Church is not a democracy. It does not aim to represent the will of the people on any given issue, but to seek the will of God by prayer and by consulting together in the light of God's word. This means that despite us arriving here from the various expressions of the Uniting Church in this part of the country, we are not here as delegates or representatives or to advocate our opinions or agendas, but to form a new discernment community and to wait upon God. We are given the first task of forming a community, of creating time to make friends and neighbours out of strangers. We interrupt our processes with prayer, and we open our lives to God in worship, decentering ourselves and recentering our scattered senses upon the presence of God, who is our wonder and delight. We embody our belief that every member has a part in the ministry of Christ, and each one of us has come here with a gift and an insight for the building up of God's church and God's mission. We adopt the posture of discernment, careful speaking and deep listening, laying down the certainties which have followed us here. We wrestle, we contest, we interpret, we concede. We find that new perspectives quietly slip in and make their presence known, and we may even change our mind. In our decision-making, we seek the true consensus that can only arise out of true community, and only through real tension, as people express their insights and experiences with integrity and conviction. We meet in this way because we believe that in the openness of our ears and hearts and minds and even lives to each other, we are more likely to discern the Spirit in the wisdom of the whole. We are more likely to hear the voice of God, who can speak through any of us and yet is the sole possession of none of us. Along the way, we bear with one another in love, in disagreement, and diversity. We remember that this is God's church and not our own. We come to discover and receive God's imagination for the church and world. And we come to find our place in God's story in something that is bigger than ourselves. And most of all, as always, we are here to orient ourselves to Jesus Christ, without whom we have no reason to exist, and who is our true north. So, this is the invitation. Bring all you are into this time and place. Bring your convictions, knowing they may be reshaped. Bring your experiences, knowing it is not too late to be surprised. Bring your voice, trusting it will be enfolded into the body, but come also ready to receive the gift of another person's insight. For these days we are the body of Christ, formed in God's love, within which there is a world of diverse gifts and ministries and service. And for these days we are the fellowship of the Holy Spirit. And just as the work of discernment is entrusted to us here, let us entrust ourselves to the Spirit, knowing that the one we seek after has already found us and will not leave us. Amen.
Let us just pause for a moment. Of what we've heard, and perhaps absorb the posturing as we begin. Thank you, members of Synod. We now come to the Synod Meeting Planning Committee report. And I'm going to invite, some of you might know him, the Reverend David Fotheringham, former chairperson of the Synod Meeting Planning Committee, and Reverend Sue Clarkson of the Synod Business Committee, and business convener for this 2025 Synod meeting, who will present the Synod Meeting Planning Committee report. Sue is a member of the SMPC in her capacity of chair of the Business Committee, which is now a subcommittee of the SMPC.
Moderator. David Fotheringham, ex-moderator. specifically Chair of the Synod Meeting Planning Committee, and I live on Wurundjeri country. This is report number C 1.4. The Synod Meeting Planning Committee, which I might sometimes just abbreviate to SMPC. The SMPC was established by the Synod before last to gather a diverse group of members together to do broad-scale planning, to maximise engagement with Synod meetings and to plan for specific meetings. The report speaks about matters such as the timing of this meeting, arrangements for opening worship, and a variety of other things. As the moderator has said, a smaller business committee chaired by Sue Clarkson handles things like the ordering of business. For clarity, that ordering follows the standard pattern of beginning with matters brought by the Synod Standing Committee, followed by those brought by the Synod's Mission and Ministry and Property and Operations Committees, proposals brought by presbyteries, and then proposals brought by individual members. The SMPC introduced a number of new initiatives at the last meeting, which rated well in the evaluations, so they'll continue for this meeting, such as having opening worship on the day that the meeting starts, and the electives and the welcome dinner, which is going to be held tonight. For now, some changes that I'd like to highlight are the shape of the cards, which I'm sure you've already noticed, which are designed to assist vision impaired or coloured blind people. Orange is square, that's for warm. Blue is angled at the top, not the bottom, the top. That's for cool, and yellow for if you want to raise a question or a comment. If you're coming to a microphone because you want to speak, you might want to bring the card with you that also actually indicates whether you're warm or cool to a proposal, because if there's a queue of people, it can be quite handy to see what the mix is wanting to speak. You don't have to, but that's just an idea. Don't hold them all at once. Take them out of the packet, because otherwise it looks different from behind as from the front. You can use them in combination. In particular, that combination means move on. So, yeah, thank you. There's always someone. We have some new election software that we'll be using this synod from. We're using Election Buddy software, which, because the previous system was getting past the point of tech support, Election Buddy is widely used, including by other synods, and so that means that you will all receive, all full members of the synod will receive an email when it comes to the time of elections. That email will give you a link to the election portal. You'll be talked through all of this by the returning officer at the appropriate time. The SMPC works between meetings on broad planning. The business committee started to meet in July to prepare for this specific meeting with the particular business of this meeting, and so I'll pass over to the business convener, Sue Clarkson.
Thanks, David. I'm Sue Clarkson. I'm the business manager and I live on Wurundjeri country. Moderator, members of Synod, the Business Committee have been hard at work, meeting weekly towards the end of our time preparing for this meeting, and we'd particularly like to draw your attention to some things that will help the meeting flow. This is kind of like the announcements as well. So, Wi-Fi passwords on your table, and you'll be able to access the Wi-Fi from this room, from the White Horse room next door, and from the downstairs space. Any notices or updates or new proposals or amendments will go up on the website and app as soon as they're ready, so keep an eye on that and keep it refreshed. Please bring your devices charged every day. You will have worked out there's no power on your table. There is charging down the back of the room there, but it's limited. So you'll be able to charge if you need to between sessions, but please be prepared at the start of the day. A reminder that all sessions in the main hall, in this hall, are being live streamed, except if the Synod decides to meet in private. So, do your best smiles, that sort of stuff. If you're presenting during the meeting, you'll speak from this lectern, and we're trying to keep things moving. So if you know that you're the next item of business, then we've put some very comfy chairs down the front here, so you'll be able to move down there and we can keep things flowing fairly quickly. That would be fantastic. As per usual, speeches and presentations have allocated timing. So they're outlined in the Manual for Meetings, 5.13, if you're a reference person. And when you're speaking, you'll be reminded of your time using our traffic light system. So these will appear on each screen. Green when you start speaking, and then yellow when you've got 1 minute remaining, and then red when it's time to stop. This is just an example, obviously. When it's time to stop, and then you need to finish the sentence you are saying and stop. We ask speakers and our members to keep an eye on the traffic lights in order that we keep to time. Synod Standing Committee nominations are open until Sunday the 31st of August at 2 p.m. That's tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. That's 24 hours time right now. So it's your task as Synod members to talk to others or think yourself about, to talk to people that you believe have the gifts and graces for standing committee membership. Don't leave this to someone else to think about and do. It's up to all of us to have a look around and see who would be a valuable member of that important committee. Nominations need to be submitted online via the nominations website, and there's a link on the website and the app. And the form does need to be printed and signed. If you nominate someone, make sure they are willing to be nominated. It's a key piece of the process. So if you need assistance with printing that form and getting it signed, then go to the business office and they will help you out gladly. And if you keep all of that in mind, then hopefully our meeting will flow quite smoothly. Finally, the Synod Meeting Planning Committee, the Business Committee and this Synod have been served well by the staff of the General Secretary's Office, who work above and beyond in preparing for this meeting. I've already had a number of members thank me for the papers that were easy to read this time and for the information on the app. I had nothing to do with any of those things. So we want to particularly thank the people who did, and that's Catherine D'Alessandro, Carice Fraser, Deb Penaluna, Mandy Rutnam and Linda Nell for all they've done in the last few months and for all that they will do this week to help us along. Thanks. Oh, yep. I hope they're listening out the back. Thanks too to the members of the Synod Meeting Planning Committee and the Business Committee who have worked to bring this meeting into being. Moderator, that brings us to the end of this report, and we're happy to take any questions if you'd like. There's also 4 proposals that relate to how the meeting will proceed. So they are 1, 3, 4 and 21, an amendment already. And there's an amendment to the amendment. So I would also like to, which I'll speak to in a moment if you'd like, but questions and then we can put the proposals.
Are there any questions or comments? Please make your way to the microphones. There are 2 microphones on either side of the hall. One is red and the other one is black. If there are any questions or comments. Thank you. I'll invite Sue to put the proposal.
So if I speak to all 4 proposals briefly and collectively, that might help move things along. So proposal 1 is the Synod 2023 procedures, which basically outlines the procedures and timing for this meeting. Proposal 21, which replaced 2, needs a further amendment, which is the addition of Carleen Kickett's name to the people who are associated for the business of the Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress Tasmania Committee. I think I've not said that right, but you'll work out where that needs to go. So if you could add Carlene's name to that. And those are the appointments and associations found in that proposal are the names of those people who are appointed and associated and will assist with the business of this synod in various ways. Proposal 3 is the confirmation of the synod of the minutes. So that's just the names of those who have the job of reading through the minutes of this meeting and confirming that those are correct. And proposal 4 is the reception of all the reports for the 2025 Synod meeting, which provides a way for all reports that have been provided to Synod members to be received efficiently and with consistency, regardless of whether they are presented in plenary or during the deep dive report sessions or in writing. So it's a collective way of doing that. Moderator, I'm happy to take questions and then maybe move all 4 proposals collectively.
Moderator, if I could just make a slight adjustment. Sharon Hollis, Associate General Secretary. I live on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. Carlene Pickett is associated for the primarily the work of the Victorian Congress. You said Tasmania.
I'm so sorry. A little bit nervous. Sorry, Carlene.
Are there any questions or comments? Then I put all 4 proposals on block, and may I see? Thank you. We have consensus. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite again back to the floor, ex-moderator, Reverend David Fotheringham, to present a report.
Moderator, thank you for the opportunity to bring this report to the Synod meeting. I'm not sure that I can open with song. But while this is a report and not a sermon, at least mostly, I hope you don't mind if I begin with prayer. Let's pray. Gracious God, thank you for the privilege and opportunity that we have in sharing together. May your grace abound as we listen to one another and seek to respond to your call. In the name of Christ. Amen. It's been an enormous privilege to serve in this role, and I want to express my gratitude to the Synod for entrusting me with the privilege of serving this way for the last 3 years. I've understood this to be a part of God's calling, and I've tried to be faithful to that. We are a conciliar church, and as such, this is not so much a role of authority, but one of representation and leadership, for which I've offered what I can. It's also a role which gives a pretty unique opportunity to see the enormous variety, breadth, and depth of God's work through the people, committees, and entities of the church. I can hardly express how much I have appreciated being able to gain those kinds of perspectives. And I'm conscious that I'm still learning. In reporting today, I want to firstly mention some highlights of this journey, then secondly speak about 3 particular aspects of work that have been significant over this time, and finally offer some observations about the church in this synod moving forward. In terms of highlights, there are so many places that I could begin, but because this is not really a solitary role, mostly, I actually want to start with the Synod Standing Committee. Over my time as moderator, I've had the privilege of chairing the Standing Committee, a group of people who are deeply committed to ongoing oversight and leadership across the Synod. As you know, bringing 250 or so people together for a Synod meeting is a big logistical task. It's great that you are here. It's a big task and a commitment to come together like this. The Synod meeting has an important role in oversight and strategy across the geographical bounds of the Synod, and we make important decisions about that here. But you should be aware that one of the most important decisions that we make here is not on the papers before you, because we do not yet have a proposed list of people to join the next Synod Standing Committee. Such a list does not yet exist. There are 6 vacancies for the Synod Standing Committee to be filled at this meeting to satisfy the rotating leadership. The vacancies can only be filled by people in this room. We need a good set of people for this role, because while this meeting receives significant reports and looks at strategy over the longer term, the Standing Committee receives more regular reporting and attestations from the institutions of the Church and the major committees, and deals with more particular or more granular decisions as required. It's been great to work with the Standing Committee, with members from across Victoria and Tasmania, including people in presbytery leadership roles. We've got a presbytery chair and a PM at the moment, or have had till this point, and people from various parts of congregational life. So a quick ad, and I know Sue did mention this already, but if you have some interest in oversight, if you're willing to learn, reflect and work with the Standing Committee team, please consider nominating or think about who to nominate. A similar highlight has been working with the 2 regional congresses. The moderator gets to be co-chair. Oh, there's Alison. Moderator gets to be co-chair of the Walking Together in Covenant Committee, and in that role and in many other spaces, it's been wonderful to work and walk with Alison and Will in particular, Ayla and Carleen and others, and it's been really, that's been a highlight. Among the other highlights, it's been a pleasure to visit congregations and presbyteries, to speak at schools when new principals are inducted, to do site visits to uniting and age well sites, and sometimes for particular events, and sometimes just to meet the wonderful people there. It's been deeply moving to meet with survivors of abuse in the context of providing formal apologies, sometimes working with staff from Uniting, including their CEO, and Heritage Services. Deeply moving, deeply significant. It's been inspiring to work along with members of the Standing Committee on contributing to some national matters, including but not limited to working with the Northern Synod, as they've had some very difficult challenges and griefs. And it's great to see Janet here today, and also in support of Noongar College. It's been very satisfying and at times probably equally frustrating to work ecumenically, satisfying to bed down protocols for uniting Anglican cooperating congregations and to continue to build good relationships, but challenging to negotiate issues where there are quite different perspectives. I've appreciated the experience of working with particular presbyteries or presbytery leaders around particular issues. As many people in this room would understand, there are often challenging issues that come up regarding people in conflict or distress, which can take many, many hours of work and care in the Synod office as in presbyteries, which for most people is mostly unseen. I'm aware of some of the careful pastoral work that people do in those spaces and the cost of that work. And I'm very grateful, we can all be very grateful for that careful work which is done behind the scenes. To turn from highlights to significant issues. As you know, moderators don't get to choose what comes up in the time of their moderating. Who knows what lies ahead, Celeste? We're pilgrims of the Spirit. As I said, there have been three significant issues about which I want to reflect some of my experience. The first has been about the work of helping presbyteries and the Synod to work together in the strategic planning space so that resourcing can be coordinated and well stewarded. Regardless of how this Synod resolves its part, it's been a great experience to work with people across the presbyteries. We can debate the pros and cons of that work elsewhere, that's fine, but for now I just want to express my appreciation for the ways that we have been able to share in that work, alongside of the work of the Presbyteries Synod Forum. And in terms of that working together, it's really great to have, it was really great to have so many presbytery leaders and people from Synod Ministry and Operations gathered together for a retreat earlier this year. The second big issue is engagement with truth-telling. The Europe Justice Commission has been a historic and significant step in Victoria's journey with truth-telling, and the churches have their part to play. We'll do more about that later, but for the purpose of this report, I want to reflect that it has been a deeply moving experience to be part of that work. And I'm deeply grateful for and slightly in awe of the work that was done to pull together the Synod's substantial submission, which involves staff from property, trusts, legal, communications, Justice and International Mission Cluster, and the General Secretary's Office. We have some very skilled and dedicated people serving the church behind the scenes in Synod ministries and operations. The third major issue for this term has been Israel's violent and unrelenting military campaign in Gaza in response to the attacks by Hamas on October 7, 2023. I'm grateful for the ways in which so many ministers, pastors and lay preachers have helped congregations and individuals in prayer, in grieving, in reaching out and in advocacy. I'm very grateful for the leadership of the President and the clarity of the responses by the Assembly Standing Committee in solidarity with the World Council of Churches. I feel inadequate in what I've managed to contribute. I'm grateful that we have some proposals to consider at this meeting. Following those highlights and issues, I want to just offer a few observations of the church and how God calls and shapes us. There is no doubt that God works through individuals and groups of people who, recognising God's love for them and for the world as we see it in Jesus, love God and love one another and pay attention to the life and needs of the communities around them. There are some places where that happens with great vibrancy, and other places where this happens with quiet faithfulness and dedicated service. Supporting this and recognising the local variations are a range of presbyteries that are in quite different spaces. Some have relatively secure staffing at present, but it's increasingly common to find difficulty in filling committees and even finding office bearers. There are some challenges ahead for presbyteries fulfilling their responsibilities as they currently exist. You may be aware that in the New South Wales ACT Synod, before they decided to make the move from 12 presbyteries to 3, a couple of presbyteries got to the point of having to transfer their powers and responsibilities to the Synod, which you can do under the Constitution. That's always a possibility. But I hope that presbyteries can develop ways to work together before things get too hard. And so, like New South Wales ACT, do so in such a way as to avoid exacerbating divides between rural and metropolitan regions. The sharing between presbyteries that we see now in things like liturgical resourcing, ethical refresher training, and ministry retreats provides some foundation. As you're probably also aware, the Commission for Governance, Resourcing and Administration is and will be working with presbyteries and synods across Australia to bring recommendations to the next Assembly and beyond about appropriate structures and responsibilities. So deliberate conversation about these things and paying attention to each other's situations will be really helpful. It seems to me that God calls and shapes us in every aspect of worship, witness and service. In worship, as we individually and communally bring ourselves before God and are shaped by God's story. In witness, not just as we bear witness to God, but also as we pay attention to, as we witness what is going on in other parts of the church around us and what is going on in the life and needs of our communities. I know that's not the way the word witness is supposed to be read in that phrase, but I think it kind of works. And in service also, as we reflect Jesus' life and love. In this role, I've had the chance to experience worship, witness and service in a big range of significant ways across all aspects of the church in this evolving context in which we find ourselves. We are indeed pilgrims of the Spirit. I'm very grateful for the theme of the Synod under our new moderator, and I have great confidence in the leadership and character that Celeste offers for this Synod. Moderator, if you'll permit me a few final thank yous. I want to thank all of those people who, as I've visited around the place, have said to me that they appreciate reading my column in Crosslight. I'm blown away by how many times people have made that comment. But I'm also happy for my face to be in Crosslight a whole lot less from now on. I also want to thank those people who have said that they pray for me each week, genuinely, and more than I expect. And I'm profoundly grateful for that. I was able to offer a thank you to Synod Ministries and Operations staff the other day. I could happily say it all again, but for the sake of the whole gathering, I won't repeat it now. I trust that you know how much I appreciate you. To make one exception, I do particularly want to thank Mark, who, as General Secretary, has been a faithful and generous colleague from whom I have learnt so much. I remain amazed by your grasp of your responsibilities, overseeing everything from legal matters, human resourcing, finances, policy, relationships with institutions, coordinations of synod activities, liaison with various bodies, and so on. Giving your time with dedication and warmth. It's been an honour and a pleasure to work with you. And my love and my thanks to Robin, who with Mattia, Cameron and Nora have loved and supported me generously through this whole journey. Well, Nora not through the whole journey, for the last nearly 3 years now. Your love and support have helped make the whole journey a real blessing. Thank you. Thank you all, and God's blessing to you all.
Thank you, Moderator. I now introduce Libby Gregory, Chairperson of Presbytery of Loddon Mallee and member of the Presbytery Synod Forum, and Reverend Lucas Taylor, member of the Synod Standing Committee, who will present a minute of appreciation for the ex-moderator. I should also and I would also like to welcome Robin and invite Robin, if she could come with Nora, to the front. Oh, Robin, and Nora is asleep. So. But we'll be thinking of her.
Good afternoon, friends. I'm Lucas Taylor. I live and work on Wurundjeri country, and I'm appointed here by the Yarra Yarra Presbytery.
Greetings, I'm Libby Gregory. I live on Wemba Wemba country and come from the Loddon Presbytery. Moderator, members of Synod. It's Lucas and my great honour and delight to offer moments of appreciation for David. We give thanks to God for and express deep appreciation to Reverend David Fotheringham for his leadership as moderator of the Synod of Victoria and Tasmania from 2022 to 2025. David's leadership is both steady and grounding, and marked by calm wisdom, deep theological grounding, and a pastoral heart for the church as a whole, and the collection of diverse individuals who make it up. We belong to the day. A theme of David's time as moderator has been a reminder and encouragement to be engaged in the inevitable change and reorientation for the church and its communities, and to discern and consider the creative possibilities that arise, framed by the development of the Synod's Faithful Futures project and the National Church's Act 2 project. David has modelled a disciplined focus on the work that rightly needs our attention, and in establishing safe conversational spaces, he creates the opportunities for the various and at times disparate nominees and appointees to respond to the challenges presented. He's brought a gentle humour and a warm presence into these spaces, which have turned groups of strangers into communities of trust and collaboration. He always meets people with kindness, a great smile, attentiveness, and heartfelt interest in what's happening in their various patches. And I'm wondering if you've noticed one of David's techniques for drawing in the various disparate voices into the conversation. You know how rough and broken stones, when they tumble together in a stream, gradually get smoothed and rounded and become lovely to hold. David has a way of helping the rough and tricky things that arise in a meeting to gradually become smooth and appealing to hold on to. He has the patience and gentle persistence of the stream. I don't know if you've noticed, but he often starts a meeting sitting in his chair behind the table at the front of the room. But when he notices the pointy, bristly tensions arising, he gets up from his chair, flows to the front of the room, and then walks up and down and in and out of the meeting, helping to smooth the rough edges, helping the rough stones to roll around a bit until they can be held comfortably and valued. And then he will often honour and add to their transformation with prayer. It's a wonderful gift.
David, I can't help but notice the careful attention you're paying to Libby and now to me at the microphone. can I invite you also to make sure you're scanning your eyes around the room? Because I'm noticing nods and affirmation, and I encourage you to make eye contact with David and share that moment with him. Across the Synod, David has been relational and respectful, strengthening connections among presbyteries, congregations, institutions, and culturally diverse faith communities. In moments of crises, both local and global, he's offered compassionate steadiness, embodying the Church's care and solidarity. His ministry as moderator has been one of consistent presence, careful listening and gentle diplomacy, ensuring voices on the margins have been honoured and heard. David has provided strategic leadership in ecumenical and interfaith contexts, representing the uniting Church with grace and theological clarity. He's been an active member of the Victorian Council of Churches Standing Committee and instrumental in some significant change processes for the VCC. He's also been a committed and influential participant in the Victorian Church Leaders Network. His broad horizons and awareness to contribute to a shared voice amongst leaders for all faiths to respond together to persecution and prejudice being expressed towards any group. His writings, as has been mentioned, and public reflections have revealed careful discernment, enabling the Church to recognise and hold complexity with hope and humility. As David and Robin and Nora's congregational minister, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and affirm the priority and honour that David has consistently shown his family. Amidst such a demanding and all-consuming role, it speaks deeply of David's character that he has embodied the truth that we cannot lead or minister with integrity if we neglect our responsibilities and relationships as spouse and parent. David, this quiet, unseen example as husband and father during this season may yet be your most significant legacy.
A particular hallmark of David's leadership has been his visible and deep commitment to covenanting with the Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress. His guidance in the Synod's response to and representation at the Yurok Justice Commission has been a significant act of truth-telling and solidarity with First Peoples. Through this and his advocacy for the voice to Parliament and treaty processes, we have been strengthened in our commitment to walking together faithfully in justice, truth and reconciliation, while respecting First Peoples' self-determination.
On this day and in this moment, we honour and give thanks that through David's care and work alongside us and on our behalf, amongst a host of other expressions of moderatorial leadership, congregations have had a trusted public representation of our Church's witness and service. Presbyteries, agencies and institutions have found themselves invited into deepening relationships of collaboration in ways that have sought to uphold and foster their own agency and capacity. Synod ministry and operations have continued to develop and embed increasingly sustainable and professional practices while embodying the ethos of this idiosyncratic organisation. There was an editorial choice there. I used the word peculiar, but... And the Synod Standing Committee have been led, served, facilitated and encouraged in work that David has skillfully drawn us to and centred us in. The light and life of Jesus of Nazareth is truly reflected in David. Thanks be to God.
David and Robin, just a token of appreciation for the work you have done, the time you have given, the sacrifices you have made, and by the words of affirmation, or the words of the minutes of appreciation, the deep value that the Synod has received in your time and your work in the Synod. So let me just say a word of prayer. E o roa mawhimawhika mao tamai whahewane a whiona. A whio mai ki o sewane ti. Kau maa a Robin. Tawhi mai ho lau maari e maa nioni. Ia e a ia kau maa ne whamiri. E ngāwe tō nunga nā ne whai. Loving God, words such as gracious, kindness, caring, and a pastoral heart of compassion are attributed to him, which are also characteristics of who you are, perhaps a reflection of his deep faith in you. Gracious God, may your blessing travel with him, and we give thanks to you for the deep, caring, hard work that he has given to the Synod. It has not come without cost. Gracious God, we give thanks. Amen. You thought you might like that one.
Good one. Good one.
I now introduce Reverend Will Pickett, Chairperson of the UAICC Victoria Regional Committee, and other members of the UAICC Regional Committee to the stage. To present their report. Coming up is also Reverend Duncan Turova, Age Greenwood, Joy Hahn, Jeannie Gordon, and Carleen Pickett.
Thank you, Moderator. Members of Synod, before I start, I just want to share just a small, brief reading from the Gospel of John chapter 17 and verses 20 down to 21. Jesus praying for his disciples, those who would follow after him. He says, I do not ask for these only, but also for those who believe in me through their word, that they may all be one, just as you are, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us for this task. The task is so that the world may believe that you have sent me. To me, it speaks about covenanting. It speaks about walking together in unity, in one. My name is Will Pickett. I'm a Noongar man from the Wilman, Gurindjin and Menang people from Western Australia. I came to Victoria in 2008 with my family. I have now grown my family with the help of my wife, and they say that behind every great leader is even a greater woman. So my wife is with me today. She's been in silence over the since 2008 when I came to be a minister of the Word working with the Congress of Victoria. So I want to acknowledge her patience with me, patience with the church as well, because we've locked heads with many in the Synod of Victoria. I also work and live on the land of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. I acknowledge the lands that we are on, the Wurundjeri people. I also want to acknowledge my sisters from Palawa country, from the Congress of Tasmania. Today I'll be sharing a little bit because I don't want you guys to get annoyed with my voice too much. I've asked some of the members of the regional committee to come and share. But before I do that, I'm going to ask Salisi to come down to the floor here. Salisi, early on today we shook hands and so on, and as a part of the covenanting, and today I'd like to present you this stole of Congress as a gift to remind you of our covenant relationship. So we have only got a few minutes, so I'm going to be quiet and let some of these other guys share with you. I might come back a little bit later if I've got enough time.
Moderator, my name is Duncan Turava of Fijian and Torres Strait Island descent and part of the Vic Regional Congress Committee. As Congress members, we're talking about partnership here. We are deeply grateful for the ongoing support of the General Secretary, Mark Lawrence, and in addition, the strong connections we share with ELM, with the Synod Property Services and Financial Administration. And on reflection as Synod members, these partnerships continually remind us that we do not journey alone, but as an important part of the Synod and the wider church. And it certainly has been a delight for members of this Congress to walk alongside the Justice Unit in a variety of ways, to be present in spaces such as the Synod Standing Committee, the Synod Ministries and Operations, the Walking Together in Covenant Committee, and the Truth-Telling Response Working Group. And each of these space and place has been an opportunity not just to participate in the decision-making, but to deepen relationships of trust, mutual listening, and encouragement. And we as Congress are witnessing the richness of collaboration. And we have stood together on matters of truth-telling, climate change, and advocacy for our own people. We've been able to sit and yarn about nurturing leadership and discipleship, especially with the ELM, that in the short term and long haul will strengthen our congregations, even our mob and the communities of faith, and especially in understanding the significance of the covenant between the Uniting Church and the Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress. And so we look ahead and do so with gratitude and expectation, and trusting that God will continue to open doors for more partnership, discernment, and shared witness. And it is our hope that you, members of the Synod and presbyteries, continue to share seats at a table for us in this journey. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. Adrian Greenwood. I'd just like to draw your attention to one point in our report, and that is that as Congress, as we start our new direction and try and go into a new season, we have 2 ministry positions that are now available. So we're looking for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ministry agents that could come and be a part of what's next. And with that in mind as well, I'd also like to encourage everyone, if you have Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander members in your congregations, to let us know so that we can include them in the journey as well. So exciting news, and as we start the next section.
Moderator and members of Synod, I'm Joy Hahn. I just want to share a few words from the report regarding the closing of Narana Creations and also recognition of Uncle Vince Ross. We appreciate and celebrate the vision and dedication of Uncle Vince Ross to the establishment and work of Narana, and recognise the grief that comes with the ending of this ministry and the handing over of the property to the Wathaurong people. On June 26, 2024, Congress Victoria made a statement saying that the outcome was both sad and wonderful. While the Uniting Church in Australia is letting go of a space and place that has been so important to our own identity as Second Peoples in relationship with the First Peoples of this land, it is a sign of the Church's commitment to the covenant and reconciling relationship with First Peoples that this centre and the land be returned to the First Peoples community.
Jenny Gordon, moderator, and I live on the land of the Bunurong people. It's a delight and a real privilege to be involved in the work of Congress Vic in our new movement from Oversight Committee into now our Regional Committee. And one of the things that Joy's just shared has been a recognition of Narana. Hands up if you ever went to Narana. Wow. If you have a short story that you would like to share, please make your way to the microphone. And if there is any way that Narana has played a significant role in your journey of faith, we would love to hear that. Uncle Vince Ross would also love to hear that, and he's unable to be with us. But there are these little cards up in the chapel space on level 1. And if you would like to write a message to Uncle Vince about how significant Narana might have been to you, you haven't got much room. But if you do that and you drop them on table 2, we'll make sure that Uncle Vince gets them. And that will be a lovely way of us helping to acknowledge the work that we do, the work that he did, particularly at Narana. So I think that's, Uncle Will, did you want to wrap up?
I just want to say that although we've got almost our full team here from the Regional Committee, there is one person missing today. His name is the Reverend Tim Angus, and he can't be with us. So Congress Vic has done a lot of hard work these past 2 years to try and to get things re-established, and it's been a bit of a journey. It's been a lot of conversations with people like the Reverend Rachel Conberger and also the Reverend Greg Crow, who was part of the Oversight Committee. And I was doing some walkabout at that particular time, and that's the best way I could describe it. And then we began those journey of conversations again. And I think Rachel's in the room here. Rachel, where are you? No? She's not here? I saw her earlier. But it's great to have Rachel and Greg to hold the baton for Congress Victoria and to continue to pursue the visions of not only of Uncle Charles, but also for Congress nationally as well, but in this little pocket of Victoria, to stay focused on what the First Nations people wanted to do with Congress. And so I'm glad that we'll be able to pick up that baton, and in another 10 years we'll be able to pass that baton on to others who are coming behind us, because the people that have done that hard work, we're standing on their shoulders in the past. The Reverend Charles Harris and many others whose names don't come to my mind at this particular moment, but I hope to see members of Synod and members of Presbytery as we come to visit you. If you don't know who Congress Victoria is, or if you want to learn more about covenanting, please give Jenny a call. She's our point of call person as the Secretary of Congress Victoria, and we'd love to come and have a conversation with you, and to deepen our relationship with covenanting, and to also give you more insight into First Nations people here in Victoria. So thank you once again, and I also want to thank the Business Committee for putting us first up this time around in Synod. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. We've got time for perhaps a couple of questions, but if there are any who want to follow up on Jenny's invitation, then I'd just like to point out the Congress table is here, and please take her up on those conversations. But are there any questions or comments? Well, I'd like to thank thank you, microphone.
Yep. Reverend Will Nicholas from St David's Uniting Church, him, from Wallarong Country. I'm just wanting to say that we did take the opportunity in Geelong as youth groups, as congregational members, to participate in the life of the Narana Centre, and what a wonderful thing that was. And I just wanted to say that earlier this year I did attend the opening of the Bullen Bullen Cultural Centre, and saw the celebration, the song, the stories that were there. And as a witness to that event, I just thought it would be good to bring that greeting to the Synod, to say that this place is now being used in a way that is so amazing by the local Wallarong people. That's the Bullen Bullen Cultural Centre. And if you're ever down our way, then you can drop in there and have a feed, have a yarn, catch up with the people there. They'd be very happy to see you.
Thank you. Microphone.
Kelly Woods, Wurundjeri Country, Port Phillip West. I just wanted to share, I was encouraged to share a story about my experience with Narana, along with going from church communities and youth groups, and as a child. I think for me, my most significant part was that we went as a family, and my parents would take us to Narana a couple times. And it was really important as a South African family to come and hang out and learn what it meant to be in this country. And so I just wanted to share that. Also a call that to walk together as First and Second Peoples isn't just about being here as our churches, but it's also about being an individual and a family. And Narana played a significant part of that in both my faith life and my family's life. So I just wanted to share that story with everyone here.
Thank you. We'll take one more.
Avril Hannah Jones, she, her, Yarra Yarra Presbytery, and I live and work on Wurundjeri Country. About 20 years ago, when I was at Theological College, they took all the candidates down to Narana, and we had an amazing retreat day there, learning from it. But I particularly wanted to acknowledge Uncle Vince. Because of the sexuality debate, there were times when I had really difficult relationships with the UAICC, and Uncle Vince supported my ministry. He saw that I was called to ministry before I did, and he was an amazing supporter and encourager. And so my life, I think, would be very different without that.
Thank you. And I'm thanking the Victoria Regional UAICC Committee for their report. I'd like to now invite Alison Obereem, who's the statewide manager, and also Ayla Williams to present the UAICC Tasmania report. And it's F01 in your reports.
And I'd like to thank the Business Committee for leaving the best to last. On you, Uncle Will. Have we got our slides? Thank you. Alison Overeem, a proud Palawa woman from the southeast nations of Lutruwita, Tasmania, proudly walking on and with Palawa country every day. Warrant we bring with us all of who we are as UAICC Lutruwita. The many embers of the campfires past that ignite the campfires now for the future. Warranta, we hope some of this story sharing connects our stories in this room together and beyond this meeting. We will take the report as read. I've always wanted to say that, and pulling it out, welcome you to the campfire of the Petrula of Lutruwita, Tasmania. Many flames flicker in who we are as part of the Uniting Church, who we are as the UAICC, who we are in community and for community. The embers of ancestors, of elders, of the cultural landscape, the connecting rivers and mountains and the shores, and of Milatina, of country, that connect us as First People, forever flowing through the mission and ministry of UAICC Lutruwita. I acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional owners of the country we all gather on today. I also pay respects to our UAICC brothers and sisters across the water who are gathered here as well, and acknowledge one of our Tasmanian Regional Committee members, Bron, who is in the audience over here. We couldn't bring all our committee members over, it's a bit further. And also pay respects to other members of the Kingston Uniting Church team who are here. I pay respects to a long line of activists, and there are many of you in this room, a long line of allies who sit in this room and beyond, and others that continue to guide us, like Auntie Ida West, Fanny Cochran-Smith, Jim Everett, to name but a few. To you, Reverend Charles Harris, we will keep your struggle, our struggle for justice, alive in the campfire. URC Tas Lutruwita mirrors the cultural landscapes effortlessly, the connection of the landscapes to each other. Connections are at our core at UAICC Lutruwita in mission and ministry, changing with the ever-flowing rivers and walking gently with country and the unique needs of the Palawa people of Lutruwita. Warranta we, Takamanarala stands strong when warranta we, Tunapri, Tunapri, Tunapri. When we know the Creator, when we know the ancestors, when we know the gift and messages in the cultural landscape around us, the guiding campfires across the lands are calling us to be many voices and one campfire. This indeed is the message that emanates from Milatina Ningi, from Mother Earth, and guides us as Congress Tasmania. I'd now like to invite Ayla Williams, who's well, there's three of us, so she's the other one, and then there's Grace, to speak. We're not speaking to the report, we're reflecting on who we are. Thanks, Ayla.
Can I please just get you guys to just go to the next slide and then the slide after that, please? Oh, is there a clicker? Ooh, fancy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'd just like to use this opportunity just to reflect. I like to sort of, in the words of Uncle Vinnie Ross, I like to throw grenades out there sometimes and just walk away. So that's my intention. So this morning, the newly installed moderator spoke of the banquet, the table where the blind, the lame, the poor, and the excluded are gathered in. Now, that's not just a beautiful image, it's a truth that cuts to the heart of who we are called to be as church. The community of faith is not organised around privilege or ownership, but around justice, humility, and equity. I was deeply inspired by this as it hits hard in my heart and in our reality. So thank you, moderator, for that. For too long, First Peoples have been shut out of decision-making in both society and, if we are honest, the church as well. Voices sidelined and wisdom ignored. The banquet tells us that there is no church without us at the table. Our seat is not a gift from others. It is the Creator's intention and was from the beginning. So for this part, I would like to throw out this reflection to you all. If we take the banquet seriously, power must be shared, equity must be real, and First Peoples' voices in Congress cannot be optional. To walk as pilgrims of the Spirit is to accept that none of us control the table. We are guests together, being reshaped by the Creator's invitation and by the land that sustains us. All right, back to you.
Thank you, Ayla, and part of what we are doing is raising the voices. As Palawa people, the back of this T-shirt says, "And still we rise," and we must, and we do. And raising the voices of our young people is very important across the life of the church. Is there another slide? Oh yeah. Oh, it says, "Look at the slide of the fire." Okay. So we start with the present and the campfires. The campfires aren't just behind us, they are burning now. Through our programs, our gatherings, our advocacy and our pastoral care with our youth and our healing spaces, it's all about that sense of gathering together. Where campfires of today bring people together across generations and communities. When we gather, we don't just tell stories, we create spaces of belonging and healing. Is that you? Yeah. For us to be in the campfire now, we must bring together the campfires past, or we don't have a campfire for the future.
Now, I love this picture. So when we were thinking about what a spirit-led call to the Uniting Church would look like or sound like, I offered to put my hand up for this part. As Alison knows, I like to sort of do the hard-hitting stuff. So back again, using the metaphor of the banquet, it shows us that the Creator's table is wide enough for everybody. So if this is so, the question for us all is, how do we actually live that out? Again, we are not optional extras, we are integral to the whole. To put it simply, there is no uniting church in this land without Congress. We are not guests at your table. We are co-hosts at the Creator's banquet, and our campfires are part of the table itself. Walking together is not tokenism, and it is not charity. It is equity. It is recognising that the Spirit calls us to reorder power, to make space where space has been denied, and to centre First People's wisdom in the life of the Church and in this Synod. Walking together truly does ask something deeper of us, and I think that's why we find it a little bit confronting, because it asks us to be willing to be reshaped. Around the campfire, we listen, we learn, we share story, we break bread, we sit with one another as kin, as brothers and sisters, and that is the banquet that's lived out in our context. So for all of us here, the question is not what you will do for us, but how you will reflect on your own place at this table. Are we truly beside one another, or are we behind, ahead? And are we walking together as kin in the Spirit? What does it mean for our future as a community of faith if we take that seriously? These aren't abstract ideas. They're just measures of whether we are faithful to the call of the Creator in this land. That's it from me. I'll pass back to Alison now.
Thank you, Ayla. And hearing younger voices is so important as we move forward and keep the campfires burning. So as we move forward, in the past, the now and the forever time, we want to invite everybody to come to our campfire, to be part of the campfire, to be part of the burning and keeping the covenanting fire going across the life of this church and beyond. When we krakani, when we sit at the patrula at the campfire, we are truly being in relationship with each other. And as the campfire sometimes flickers, sometimes needs stoking up a bit, and sometimes it's almost out, there's always hope. And as we end our presentation, yarn and our story, this is Ayla, Grace and myself out on our own country, and some people who have been down on country with us will recognise this little place in Niggles Rivulet where Fanny Cochran Smith's church sits. With all of who we are, our hope is that every member of this synod and beyond wants to continue to sit at the Congress campfire and build those stories together. In acknowledgement of past, present and future growth, UARCC Lutruwita would like to it's down there. Where's that? I've lost the gifts. No, down there. As before we leave the stage, do you want time for questions now, moderator?
Yes, we could. If there are, there we have time.
If
for
there's any questions,
quick questions,
send them to Celeste. And
I think you can continue.
the invitation to our Lutruwita campfire is really open. It truly is. It's the only way we can keep it moving. Yep. And in recognition of walking together, of covenanting, of equal relationships, of building solidarity, allyship together, I guess we could get them. David Fotheringham, thank you. Nairi Ninatu, for all of who you are and all you have been, to UARCC Lutruwita, to Alison, to Ayla, to Grace, and to the walking together and truth-telling, we thank you. We thank you for sitting not outside our campfire, but with us at the campfire. And as a token of our appreciation, we have a small gift here of thank you from the deadly mob at Lutruwita, Tasmania. Thank you. We love David. And I'm not saying the moderator's campfire is going out or anything, but as we sit around another campfire with our new friend, our leader, our brother, our moderator, Celeste, we too, as UAICC Lutruwita, Tasmania, welcome you, Celeste, to our campfire. Nairi Ninatu. If you're ever on country in Lutruwita, Tasmania, come and join the campfire, because that is spirit-led. Thank you.
We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And thou know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, thou know we are Christians by our love. Well, I trust as we come to our afternoon tea, sorry. We're actually on the other side of lunch. Thank you to Congress, both regional Victoria and also Tasmania, for their presentation and their deep words of truth. Well, I trust that each of you at your tables have had perhaps a little opportunity to get to know one another, but if you haven't, please continue to do so over afternoon tea, and I'll hand it over to the business convener for some announcements.
Thank you, Moderator. Afternoon tea will be available in both the White Horse Room, to my left, out here, and also downstairs. So please make your way to both those spaces. Downstairs in the lower hall on Saturday and Sunday, the display tables there are hosted by our friends from the Assembly and other parts of the wider church. So we encourage you to visit them in a break, either today or tomorrow. The displays will change over on Monday and Tuesday, when we'll welcome displays from various teams across Synod ministries and operations. Working group leaders and working group scribes, if you could please meet Janet Munro at the information desk in the main foyer for a brief meeting now, that would be helpful. And a reminder that the UAICC have provided cards for you to share your stories and experiences of Narana. I always like a chance to talk about the time my family and Cheryl toured Narana with the Edge from U2, so feel free to ask me about that. And it'd be great to share your own stories with Uncle Vince, so please make sure that you take up that opportunity. And you get some extra time for afternoon tea, so we will see you back in here ready to start at 3:35 p.m. You don't really get extra time, you get a shortened one because we've run over, but 3:35 p.m, please. See you back then.